Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Inside the Headset, Game 2, Week 1. I'm with head coach Philip Shadowens. Coach played Indy Eagles last Friday night, came away with a victory. You did your coach's show, and you have practice Monday, Tuesday, yesterday being Wednesday, today being Thursday. You'll go through your prep later on this afternoon. We're doing the show a little early. Talk to us about what you've been up to.
Just correcting mistakes, and the message we've got to our kids this week is a win. We were happy with the win. Obviously, anytime you win a football game, you're happy with that. But didn't play like we wanted to. But the thing that really stands out to you is that our kids just didn't fly around, didn't have fun playing the game, put a lot of pressure on themselves. So we have a great group of kids, and I've said that all week long. We got an unbelievable group of kids that have worked very hard to be successful, but at the same time, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. And so we've worked this week on just cutting loose and flying around, having fun playing a game of football. It's a kid's game. We're going to treat it like it's a kid's game. And our kids responded to that and had a great week of practice and great week of preparation. And I look forward to good things.
Well, with that, and you speak of that, how do you go about, just trying, like you say, just having fun and everything, but how do you let them know that, guys, I understand that there is some intense times in playing this game, but at the same time, you got to be relaxed as you go through Friday night and do your routine, or you're not going to be able to perform.
Yeah, I just think you talk about it to them. I think our kids are extremely intelligent. They understand. We just talked about it, and I told them what I thought the issue was, and that's the amount of pressure they put on themselves to succeed, and that you can't really be successful when you put that kind of pressure on yourself. So, this week we've worked on a lot of things. We've had a lot of fun doing some stuff too, and just trying to kind of loosen the mood up and just let the kids can just cut loose and play. We have a really good football team, really good football players on our team. It's just a matter of us fixing ourselves, and that's what we've worked on this week. And I would expect to see a different team tomorrow night.
When you talk about progress, like we had game 1 and then game 2, and through the years you've been coaching, what do you look for? And you have to put the gauges different from a kid that's played last year and had some Friday night time. But what is the coach generally looking for in the first couple of games, and based on your experience? Because I'm sure it's a philosophy and a matter of an opinion. But what do you try to look at as a kid that's first time he played his first Friday night? Then how much improvement should a normal fan see from the first game to the second game, then moving through the season? If you could talk about it.
I think your biggest improvement on a football team really comes between your first and second game. Because the speed of the game, even though you've been practicing for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it's been, the speed of the game, the adrenaline that goes with playing in a Friday night football game, all those kind of intangibles, those things are somewhat overwhelming on a Friday night. You lose energy quickly first Friday night because of all the adrenaline you have going. You have kids cramping up. Their bodies react differently to that kind of environment. And plus they're nervous and they hadn't seen some things. You don't really know how to prepare for a team you play week 0 because you don't get any video on them or any game video. You may get some scrimmage tape that's not very good, but you don't get any game video. So this week you've seen a game video now, the upcoming opponent. You understand what to expect on a Friday night. Even the kids who played last year all the time, still it's a different environment on a Friday night.
Different players.
Well, it's different players, but some of them are the same players, but it's still different than practice has been.
Sure.
And they hadn't had a game since last November.
Right.
So it's different. So it takes a little bit to adjust to that. But from an improvement standpoint, from week 1 to week 2, I think it's a confidence thing. You've been through it, and all of a sudden you play with more confidence because you understand. Now we understand the game plan better. We've seen video on Pearlcon. We've seen them play a game. We know what to expect. We can prepare a little differently for it. You're not just covering just a wide array of things like you do for your week 0 opponent.
Right.
Trying to make sure you have everything at least touched on so nothing surprises you. This week you can kind of focus on a few more things that you're going to face on a Friday night. You always have to be alert of gadget plays and different things that someone may do, but you can kind of focus on here's what they do, here's what they like to do, and here's what they're good at doing. So let's find ways to stop those things.
That's good. And moving through that, speaking of Pearl-Cohn, and that's our next opponent, any injuries from Friday night as we get ready to go into that, or was we injured? Are we okay?
I think we're okay. We got bruised up a little bit. Caleb Anderson banged up a knee, but he looks like he's going to be able to play. Had a couple of things in practice that take place for injuries, but my kids had started. I had a couple of kids get injured this week in practice. Had a broken collarbone yesterday.
Wow.
Had a cracked rib on Tuesday, and so we've had some.
Had some fun.
Had a knockdown shoulder on Monday. So we've had 3 things go on, and where kids can't dress out tomorrow night because of injury. But It wasn't our starters, but it was kids. One of those kids was one of our main backups for sure. And so you hate to lose kids in practice, obviously, but you got to be physical in practice, and that's part of football sometimes. And it's been one of those weeks for us. But everybody that played last Friday night should be healthy enough to play this Friday night, and so that won't be a problem.
Pearl Cone, the Firebirds come in here on Friday night. The only thing I've heard is I asked one person, what do we know? And all I heard is big and has potential on the other side of the ball. Talk about the Firebirds.
A lot of athletes, obviously. Pearl
yeah.
Cone's always been loaded with athletes. The thing that jumps out to you when you look at them on video is that their defensive tackles, or two defensive tackles, are huge. 3 bills plus. Both
gosh.
of them. So obviously not easy to block. And then they run so well. They run the football well. They chase the football well. Offensively, the whole offensive line is a pretty good-sized offensive line. Not very complicated in what they do. Fairly simplistic. They're going to run the ball, play action a little bit. They're going to try to use their size and their strength and their physicality to beat you. That's how they're going to try to beat you. So our thing this week has been that we have to be the most physical team. And the most physical team usually wins. And if we win that physicality battle, then we'll win the football game tomorrow night. And if we don't, we won't.
Well, I hate to put a little pressure on him, but he did come out and he did do a fairly good game, and special teams looked okay last Friday night. First time for him being out there, as you lost Jason, but how'd that settle out with you?
Went good. Had to split time up. Jacob Irvine did our extra points and field goals, and he did our punts, but he still can't move well enough to do our kickoffs. So Kyle Mincy, a kid who'd never played in a football game before, he practiced with us last year, but he never played. He did our kickoffs, and I thought he did a good job because he was really a nervous kid.
Why, yeah.
And so that went well, and Jacob his ankle continues to improve. We'll still let Kyle do the kickoffs tomorrow night. Jacob will take care of the punts and extra points, but I was pleased with that part of the game. I thought that was sound, and obviously Independence had the best kicker probably in the state.
Wow, he was
probably the most impressive one I've seen in high school football. That not only did he kick the ball well, he punted it well. He had an explosive leg, and changed the field a few times. Flipped the field for them. 50-yard punts, 52-yard punts, 49-yard punts. That's pretty impressive, and usually really hard to return. So. But I thought Jacob did a great job. We didn't snap the ball as well as we want to snap it last Friday night, and had some problems with that. But we've worked this week in practice, and that's got better. And I expect that to be a solid part of our game.
Yeah, well, in long snapping, it's through the years, you've always had to find a long snapper. It's just not something. It's not always the center. It could be to somebody totally. It's whoever can.
It's not our center. It's Raleigh Osborne does ours. He's our linebacker, and he does a good job. He's talented at that. But once again, it's different for those kids too, because you're playing defense every play, and sometimes you're playing tight end, then you have to go long snap it, take your gloves off, whatever you have on to do that. But he's had a good week of practice, as far as with our special teams part goes and our snapping. So I would expect that to be better, more solid. Didn't hurt us any last week. I don't know that we won the special teams battle. I'd say they probably won that because they got the onside kick, and then they punted the ball so daggone well. But missing their extra point last week kind of changed the game for them.
It did.
It changed the game for them too. So, but I'm confident in that part of our game. I really want to score in the special teams this week. I think we have a chance to do so. And anytime you can get 7 points that away, then you have a great chance to win football games.
Well, that's great. Anything else you'd like to add as we go in to play the Firebirds?
No, we had a great crowd, one of the biggest crowds we've had at Blackburn.
Boy, it was a fantastic night to play.
For what you'd call a non-rivalry game.
Yeah.
Just a huge crowd. The biggest one we've had since I've been here, besides the big rival games like Riverdale or whatever. But gigantic crowd, great fan support, great student body support. It wasn't an exciting game to watch last week because we didn't play well. It was kind of a dull game as far as from a fans' perspective, probably. But we're fixing to take this thing up another notch this week. We're going to have some fun, and I think you'll see a different football team tomorrow night.
Well, I guess we'll play a little shad ball tomorrow night at 7:30. The Firebirds come in here. Y'all come out and watch us, and we'll see you at the game.